All right, being 7:04, I'd like to call the Town Hall School Building Committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda is a roll call. Call your name. Say here. Paul Ruggiero.
Here.
Jesse Finley.
Here.
Kevin Kyra.
Here.
John Doherty.
Here.
Diane Allen.
Here.
Paul Malorani.
Here.
Jack Holloway called me, said he would not be here. The troop is here. Also Jeff Hull, Glenn Brand,
Here.
Dan Pilata, and Phil O'Brien.
And you.
And me. Good. All right, next item on the agenda, I need to approval. For the minutes, everybody should have received a copy of the minutes for May 4th and May 18th. Any discussion on the minutes? Motion to accept May 4th.
Second.
I have a second by Paul Malorani. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No, unanimous, great. All right, the second set is the May 18th. Entertain a motion. Motion to accept, John Doherty. Second,
I'll second them.
Diane Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much.
You just want to second the second one? Spread the wealth. I had to retype.
All right, Phil,
Cut and paste.
you're up next.
That screen just went off. Uh-oh.
If you just move the remote, it'll kick back on. It should be yours. There you go.
Okay. So, kind of an abbreviated show tonight. The slides that I'm going to show you were in the packet that I gave you. We really just had sketch models to look at tonight. The model is the site model. So if you want to change it, we can do that. So basically, I have sketch models for B and for F. As I mentioned to you, I went through, this is just in case we need it to orient yourself. And I left the site plans in just so that we could kind of orient ourselves. This is the B3 plan we showed you last time. I put the overall dimensions on that plan as it exists right now. That may change a little bit. But basically, as I mentioned before, all of these schemes have the same amount of square footage gross. They all meet the program. And so the proportions are a little bit different, but the overall square footage is the same.
So after eliminating the other schemes, these were the two that we came up with. We were talking about back and forth on F and B3.
Yep.
And, okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any, I know we had talked quickly, but do you have any elevations of these buildings as far, I see the overall dimensions, but do you have any heights?
The heights of these two buildings are the same. We have a 14-foot floor-to-floor height, is
Yeah.
what we're assuming at this point, so we have enough room to get all the mechanicals running around inside the buildings floor-to-floor, and so we have enough room for the structure. The structure of the building is probably going to be about 2 feet between the steel beams and the concrete slab that holds that up. 14 times 3 is 42, so the 3-story section to the flat roof section here, or to the eave of the slope, is 42 feet off the ground or off of the
Finished grade.
Finished grade. And that's the same whether it's here or out in the front. It's 42 feet. Now when we come around the back, basically we're taking a floor off of that. So it's 14 foot shorter when you're coming in at the upper floor, because we're coming in 14 feet up from down below. That may not be exactly what the grade is right now, the grade change, but the idea is we would regrade it so that it meets.
So from the back section, it'd be 28 feet, basically from finished grade?
Yes, yep, up to there. So you're basically looking at 2-story, like a residential house, like with an 8-foot ceiling inside, is gonna have about a 1-foot floor ceiling section, so it's about 9 foot floor to floor. And if you call it 2 feet off the ground, typically in New England, they raise up a little bit, that's 20 feet to the eave.
Right.
So, that'll give you an idea about, so 8 feet higher at the eave here, and then it goes up a little bit, 8 foot higher than a house at the rear. And then if it had a slope, it would go up from there. 28 feet, then a slope, or versus 20 feet for a house, kind of on the average. Two-story house and then a slope. And then you'd have the full 42 feet up and then a slope.
So 28 feet
At
in the front.
The rear.
Oh, in the rear.
42, the building's at the same height, whether it's
Okay.
here or whether it's here.
Okay.
The height off the parking lot is 42 feet to the eave line.
42.
Can you go to the parking lot for a minute? On this parking lot here, right now you've got quite a few handicap spaces by the 4th of July building.
Yep.
And yet, on the one you just showed us, there's only 2 there.
What we tried to do is spread them around, and we could actually put them, we had this discussion once before. I think we had them all in front of the building before, and then we spread some out. I think we put a couple over here, and then one of the schemes, I think we put some close to the green. I'm happy to spread them around. There's no code requirement
Okay.
on that.
Not even the number of spaces?
The number of spaces, yes, is controlled by the code.
Okay.
And so the number of spaces that are dedicated to the building, you can probably use the percentage of those to put in front of the building. And then the rest of the spaces, because there isn't anything specific that you're gonna go to, you could be parking here to visit the common, to visit the green, to visit this building, to go in here, to take a walk in the woods.
If you look at the scheme out, in the parking lot, what's the doorway to? On the upper left? On the left-hand side, the very top one, on the parking lot.
Dumpsters. Yes, dumpsters.
Oh, okay.
Trash and recycling. That could go anywhere as well. I think somebody had asked that we move it down to the end. You want to be able to get a truck in,
Yeah.
and so it makes sense. It would be more difficult to do it here, depending on the size of the dumpster that you have. You're going to want one that you're going to hook up, pick up off the back of the truck. Then you want the truck to be able to back right up to it.
John, that's where the finance committee will be.
That's the secret entrance to the back.
We'll never need the large meeting room.
That's the exit. That's not the entrance. That's the emergency exit.
We just wanted to show it somewhere. You may decide that, for example, you want to put it here and take all the trash out this way and have the truck come and pick up. That way you could do this building and that building at the same time. It's just kind of a placeholder. Once we get a little deeper into it, our civil engineer, I'm sure we'll come up with great ideas that, that we hadn't thought of.
George. So I was out there this morning because I'm trying to visualize this building. 'Cause
Yep.
just looking at a flat plan just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
So with the scale, I did put some measurements here, and they were correct, obviously. The distance from the existing Bazell building to the, on F, the existing Bazell building to the current, or the new town hall, there's only 33 feet there.
Here,
Correct.
at the closest point, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're pretty close.
Yes.
So I was standing approximately on the second set of stairs, almost at the top of the second set of stairs, to where the edge of that building was. The other part. Yep, juts out, right. That's about, right.
Yeah, that's the stone
Stairs,
steps.
that's a stone step,
Yeah,
so
you're
I was
about
right
half-
about there,
You're-
yep.
You're about halfway down that set of steps.
Yeah.
You walk straight out to about the center of that gable, that's where
Yeah.
the corner of that building would be, yes.
And it's pretty, 33 feet is not a big distance, and I just can't imagine that the two buildings being that close, how the neighbors on School Street are gonna feel. Unless the Bazell building was taken down. The Bazell building was removed. Took the Bazell down, it would appear more open to them. I'm just thinking from a selling point here, of selling this building. But I-
The other thing she's saying, it's not even neighbors there. You got 3 houses?
No, you've got 1, 2, 3, and then they go right up the hill.
Yeah, there's two on
There's a-
that side, there's one on the back side, but
Yeah.
it's fine, but the other ones won't be obstructed.
Yeah.
No, yeah, there's 3 houses that are gonna be obstructed, right.
Although to your point, I mean, if you did remove the gazelle, that would just give additional parking,
Mhm.
and then would allow for employee and school, employees to park up on that upper area,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, doesn't he have it that way anyway, that there's a little pathway there that,
We do have connection.
you have a connection there, right?
Yep.
That say the school department could park up there for their.
That just connects to the existing walkway that's there.
That's right.
That's there already, yeah. And then the other dimension was, so from the street to the front of that building, I
Here.
came up with about 27 feet to the sidewalk.
That red line is a 40-foot setback from the property line. So from the edge of the sidewalk, it's probably a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is offhand, but it's probably close to 30 feet.
Yeah, because to the property line was about 68 feet, and then I had 27 feet to the top of the walkway, yeah, the sidewalk.
What was the setback from the lot line?
The red line and the blue line is 40 feet.
40 feet.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's very similar to B3, the red line to the blue line from the other streets.
It's got the same setback from the
Right.
street. We're basically putting it on the setback.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about at the last meeting too, that, all right, so the entrance to the building in F, okay, is there. And then if there were going to be night meetings, that would be closed off and people would come through the front door.
They come here.
Oh, they would come through that one there?
Yes, yep, right in here. The rest of the building would be closed off because the meeting room suite is in this end of the building.
Okay, so that's where the front door is, okay.
So people could park in the front and actually enter the front entrance of the
We'd
building.
be using the main entrance for night meetings and the rest of the building would be secure, yes. I mean, if you wanted to bring folks in from the rear entrance, you just have to make sure that,
Right.
Yeah, but we were trying to secure the building so that the people
Yes.
could just go into the, if they were meeting in the large meeting room or whatever.
yep, I'm sorry,
I don't think that has changed at all. It's always been enter in the front.
that's
The meeting
right.
space has always been to the side.
Yes. Now, in the B plan, we have kind of the main entrance comes in from the rear, and then there's a kind of a ceremonial entrance that comes in off of Middlesex. And we wouldn't necessarily have a nighttime entrance from this entrance off of Middlesex. I think that everybody would come in here from Washington.
Right, and even though you have a front entrance, like our current library, most of the people park in the back and enter through the back entrance.
Right. And so for a night meeting, you come in this entrance, the rest of the building would be secured, and then you'd be able to get directly into the meeting room suite and use the toilets and so forth from that rear lobby.
Right, because you still have it set up so that they can close off the main part.
Right, right. So, I mean, in other words, the main entrance in this case is here, even though there is kind of a ceremonial entrance on the
Right.
street. And we also talked about the potential of that maybe moving to the
Moving it.
center. And
Right,
but
right.
We haven't really done that yet. We've
Right.
pushed this design.
And we also talked about maybe moving it, or even a little more towards the Swain Green, moving it down a little bit,
If we move it down a little bit, you could get another row of parking in there,
right?
potentially, sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna look at that if we decide on this scheme.
And that was taking about 40 feet, wasn't it, in order to get that extra row of parking?
It depends on how much you wanna do. If it's just another double row of parking, you need another aisle as well, so it's the 2 rows, plus the aisle, so it's a total of 60 feet, it's that much. So you're moving down
It's not insignificant.
It's not insignificant, but, yeah.
I mean, my concern with this one is the loss of parking spots. I mean, I know how important it is with the school and other community events that we have. And we have a net loss of 14 currently going
You
through.
have now, that's right.
Right. And then just the way that the building, it kind of covers everything. I mean, you can't see anything in back of it, so that whole parking lot's gonna be isolated. And then off to the side. I know what it's like when students are in and out of there now. So,
And if this just moved down 20 feet, you could get one more row of parking between this aisle in the building. And it's 17 spaces, that'd get you to 250. And you'd have,
So you wouldn't have a net loss?
you'd have a few more than you
A
have.
few more,
Yeah.
okay. And you'd move it down 20 feet, you said?
Yes, yeah, basically the depth of the parking space.
I think George said too, it's a good point that in a secluded parking area versus one that's kind of out front. There's a difference. I assume that the public safety would say the
Right.
same thing.
I look at some of the other buildings we have in town, and I'll throw the Shawshene School out there too. Our front entrance is right on the main street. Where do we park? In the back.
Right.
And that's where we have to
Right.
enter. Whenever you want to go into the front for security reasons, everything, they're all walking.
Ceremonial, and I'm just like, it's just like the library. To me, it just seems like, why bother? Why do that if it's not going to be used at its fullest? You know, my problem with this, the scheme B is having a 42-foot high building right on the road, right on Middlesex Ave. And I think it changes the whole dynamic of that area. Right now, it's wide open and beautiful. Not to say that, you know, putting a building in is a bad idea, but when you have the option to push it back and still have all of that wide open space, it just makes more sense to me.
My opinion, this location is the site for the town, all the way it's set now. But putting it back so we can have all these, you kind of your cake and eat it too. You're able to have these events, a net of 57 added.
On F?
Yeah, on F, correct.
Yeah.
And then if we do something with the Bazell, now or in the
Yeah.
near future,
Yeah.
I don't want to sway anybody, I want people's opinions too. Committee members.
So I've got some overalls, some bird's eyes as well. And I think the majority of your traffic is here. And so in terms of the perception, from my point of view, the perception is that this building is going to be set back 40 feet from Middlesex. But it's going to feel to the majority of people that are coming down, up and down this artery, that it's set back very far, similar to the setback that you have over the high school. And we're not as tall as the high school. So that's what that building looks like there. And you can see that the high school, in terms of its setback from the main road here versus the setback to the high school, is actually further back.
Well, using the common as a visual.
I mean, we're taking advantage of the fact that the common is there and it sits beyond it for the majority of the traffic that is traveling and folks that are visiting town. So, like, as I've mentioned a number of times, the urban planning side of me says that that's the best spot from an urban planning point of view, because it is taking advantage of, and you still do have these long views in terms of the setback. The setback here to the Roman house is similar to what we're gonna have from Middlesex. Probably a little bit more than the Roman house. But this dimension is kind of comparable to that dimension of Yes, yeah, there's definitely.
Middlesex Ave.
Right. And it's my impression that doesn't get as much traffic.
Well, that may not be the right impression, but it gets plenty of traffic.
Plus tractor trailers go down too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, these larger buildings that are down.
Actually, we're making.
Yeah, he used to allow no trucking at one
There used to be
time.
no trucking,
Yeah.
it was brought up in the.
Yeah, because what happens is they back up at the light at that intersection, now people realize they go up.
Plus they take limbs down.
Well, they took that down.
Yeah.
I think the trucking really started when the new school came up, because the trucks weren't going on Church Street, they were going on Middlesex to stay away from that construction. And they've never gone back to the way it used to be. Somehow or other it needs to, because those residents on Middlesex Ave are not happy with 18-wheelers cruising down that road.
Can't plan on.
Well, it's even very hard for them to negotiate, even when they get to the set of lights there at 129. I mean, I've seen them take out a light more often than.
There's also no light at the end of Middlesex.
Right,
It's even worse.
right,
Right.
correct.
That's a good point.
They both are very sharp turns for them to make.
That same image that I showed you last time, this is scheme D. Scheme D is the one that's most similar. We did redo this, although I did do a couple of other images. I took this model, and I didn't redo it, I just squished it. It basically is the same model, and I just squished it and slid it over, so I have a couple of views of that. This
It's
one-
closer to the wetlands.
This one wouldn't work, because the wetlands contribute to it.
Yeah, so you'd have to shift
It needs to
it.
pull over to here, and get squeezed in a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, Phil, to Diane's point, this would probably work better in the sense of the Bazell School. I believe, Diane, right, it opens it up more. So if this doesn't work because of the wetlands, I mean, I'm in favor of the scheme F, but can the building on scheme F move over as far as it can go towards that wetlands area? That way you're getting more,
I think that's what he has drawn.
is that what you have drawn?
Yeah.
You can't go over any further?
That's the 25-foot setback right there, Kevin, that red line that I'm sitting on.
Okay, so that's as far
Trying to
as it
stay
goes.
out of that
Yeah,
zone.
okay.
I mean, could you, I don't know, if there is a certain absolute no entry spot on some of that. Is that 25-foot mark, or is there something you can do to move it even a little closer to that?
I think I heard that they might let us do something within 15 feet, but I think that's really just disturbance.
Okay.
You can't put the structure,
No, I wouldn't put a structure, but I'm just thinking of as far as,
Dig a hole and battery back and,
right.
because you're gonna be doing that anyway,
Mhm.
but you gotta restore.
Right.
So just to go back to talking about scheme F, so the first floor is basically into the hill.
right in from the parking
It's
lot.
right into the hill.
Yep,
So the back part, no windows
on the first floor.
on the first floor.
That's right,
No windows.
that's right, yep.
That's where the storage is.
That's where we
That's
put
where the
storage,
storage
right?
is, right, we have the
Yep.
storage there. But also the large meeting room, the back of the large meeting room was not gonna have any windows.
That's right,
Not that you really need them anyway,
yeah.
most of the time.
But we shut these shades, you don't.
Yeah, I mean, you
even
don't
have
really
windows
need
here.
them.
Right.
And what was the other thing I was thinking about?
So since we're on height, what's the height of the meeting space?
This, right here,
Yeah, the wing and the closest to the residences is not 4228.
no, that's right. This steps up the hill, so it's from the grade up to the eave line is higher at the front than it is at the back.
Right.
Yeah.
And that changes a little bit. When I get into the model, I could measure that for you exactly.
But it's gonna be a lot more proportional
Yes.
to the structures that are on the street.
I see.
You know, so that was
Right.
one of the reasons we kept that meeting room on that corner, was we could step it up and make the building not intrusive.
Yeah, you can see, that's a two-story house right there.
Yep.
Right, you can see that corner, that's taller than that right there.
Mhm.
So we're smaller than a two-story house. Chunkier.
Yeah.
than a two-story.
Now, was there going to necessarily be a retaining wall built?
The
If-
foundation will act as a retaining wall.
The foundation?
And then the grade will get piled up against it as it goes up the hill, so there'll still be a hill beside the building here.
So since there's a lot of they always tell me there's a lot of water there, and with the ledge, that the water's running off the ledge and running down and everything. Would there be some sort of, as the building is like a French drain or something around the building to
Yes.
divert the water?
Yes. So the portions of the wall, the foundation wall that are built in there will have a waterproofing on the outside of them. And then there'll probably be a drain that goes around the outside. So the water will hit that waterproofing layer, run down to the drain, and then get piped out to the front.
On the left side of the meeting room.
Gravity.
On the left side of the meeting room, would there be a retaining wall for an emergency exit?
I don't know that yet.
Okay.
Maybe. It depends on how we grade it. We're a little close to the street over here.
Okay.
I just need the doors to be remote enough, so I might be able to just come out the front,
Okay.
and you'd be fine. They just need, there's a minimum distance they need to be from each other, so that, you wouldn't want to have your two exits right next to each other,
No,
because if
no.
there was a fire between you and those two exits, then you're in trouble.
And the access to the back of the building would be up on the parking lot.
This parking lot level, basically, yes. Yep. So once you get to the end of that parking lot, it starts to grade off right now. And
Right.
so once we put the building in there, we'll just fill in that grade to bring it up to the floor level. And then the water would run around the building in either direction.
And you could make that a service entrance, so for deliveries and anything else coming to the back, would be at the back.
Right now, it's showing a footpath, but if you decide you want us to put a driveway back there with a wheel stop on it, so you can back up a truck to load things, sure.
Now, that does not show the Bazell Center, correct?
The Bazell is right there.
Right
Oh,
there.
is that the Bazell Center? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, right there.
All right.
My initial thought was, I guess my initial preference was having the building closer, kind of on the premises you talked about, Phil, that it would be more consistent in terms of from a planning perspective, but I'm not necessarily so sure of that anymore. I mean, we don't have, it's not like on the opposite side of the street when you're coming up Middlesex up by the library, where there's homes that are pretty uniformly set back at a consistent distance. On this side of the common, whether it's here or further down the street, the hall next to Villanova Hall and so on are set back a fair distance. Yeah, so it almost, I don't know, it seems like the building close to Church Street may be a bit overpowering for the, for the street there. Particularly, I don't know, where it's been, an open space like that for so long, it may, from a aesthetic standpoint, may be more beneficial to have it set back like that and retain that openness right straight through to the common.
I have a couple of views. These are the images from the March 2nd, but I replaced what was in March, Steam C on this spot. So I took another shot of that same model, and that's scheme kept. So you can kind of compare it. There's B from March, and again, that door may move or whatever. Basically, the overall shape and size of that building is essentially the same. And this is the shot from the Roman house. So there's that round section, little planter area in the center of the common, and you're kind of looking over that. And there's the B building, which is on Middlesex. And then the F building, which is actually longer, left to right. It just looks a lot smaller from here because it's on the other side of the parking lot, but you can see it here. Basically the same vantage point here for the July building on the right. And when we were originally looking back in March at scheme A, that kind of sat a little bit out further and was more to the right, but it's not on the right. And so from the gazebo, from the bandstand, the B building, the Gazelle in the background, and then the F building. You see the Gazelle? No, I don't think you can see, from this vantage point, you wouldn't be able to see the Gazelle at all. You're looking at one of the houses on the street, on the other side. And then that height right there to the eave is what I was talking about. It's the same here as it is there. I think that's it for this.
I think that bird's eye, can you go back to that bird's eye view, scheme F, that new image, do you have that in there?
This one here?
Yeah, that shows you, I mean, that gives you a pretty good shot from what these residents are gonna see. You know, so they'll be able to see across, and even the person up on the hill across from the senior center.
Do you want,
Actually, not for one, George, because he hasn't got all the trees that he did. All those trees.
Well, it depends on what he puts in there for trees, so I think greenery will be fine.
let's see if I can- So this is. Okay, so let's see if I can fix that now. Okay. So with this model, let's see if I can shut off the swing too. There's the old Swain School there.
If only it was that
Just
easy.
like that.
Well, it's just-
Yeah, demolition.
It saved us a ton of dough.
If there's a particular spot that you would like to stand and take a look, I can do that for you here. Or if there's anything you want me to measure, I can measure.
I'd like to know the height of the meeting area.
You got a view of it, see what it looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
These tools are pretty small.
It's lighter right.
What's that? I know, right? I like this guy's just standing outside looking at his watch.
That's 20 feet.
Did
20 feet. So at the highest point, it's
Yes.
about
The highest point is kind of around the corner here,
They're all the same.
and the grade steps up,
this.
right?
Right.
Right.
So I can
Four-wheel
just,
drive on those.
So
I don't-
that's looking from School Street? That's looking from
Yes.
School Street?
so you're just kind of standing in the person's yard
Yeah.
next door? If you want to kind of. So there, the house is there. This is one of the.
Fresh coat paint.
So there you are, standing right at the corner of this person's house.
Yeah.
And that's what they'll see from there. Gazelle. Yes.
And you said on the meeting area to the, essentially the edge of the roof line is 20 feet?
20 feet down,
Okay.
so basically the parking lot.
Yep.
And then it'll be lower over here because the grade steps
Sure.
over.
So 20 feet for the meeting room, and then the highest point up at the top.
43, that's, depending on the design of the roof,
Yeah.
that's probably another 10 feet right there, 8 feet. So 52 or something to that spot.
52.
From the parking lot.
How far away from the Brazil?
33 feet. At the closest point, it's about 30 feet. 33, I think it was what Diane measured when she was out there based on it.
Phil, can you drop the camera on School Street next to the Bazell School? Yeah, right around there.
Right in here?
Yeah, right in there. And just so I can look down the street.
So this is Bazell parking lot, in the back of the Bazell. I don't have all the doors and everything drawn in there. There's the side.
And maybe can you bring the camera down a little bit more down School Street heading towards Middlesex? So, yeah, right there.
You want to see?
Can you show the back of the town hall building in relationship to the Bazell?
From the Bazell parking lot?
Yes, please.
Just hop over. Sorry. Now we're on the ground.
There's your borings. Did you go below grade?
I went below. So there it is, kind of from the corner of the Bazell.
So really, it's not much taller than the Bazell itself. Is it not?
It may be a little bit taller, but I mean, it's really just a two-story building. Yeah. And the Bazell is a tall one-story building from there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Well, I mean, I'm so glad you went through this exercise. I know last meeting, everybody, you know, had one scheme in mind and was looking at the other. And myself, I was back and forth on a couple of them. Again, I think I had stated that the fact that we're losing parking spots, the fact that pushing the building up to the front with more of a curtain to the parking lot, with some obstruction. Although the F being close to the senior center kind of overshadowed it, but now seeing it more myself, personal opinion, of course, I'm not that concerned about it. But I think we need to give our designers some direction.
I make a motion to scheme.
Is there any discussion first? I don't want to be the only one speaking.
No, I just, in this point of view here, Phil, this is the parking lot area view, right?
We're standing in the parking lot at the Bazell.
Right. So is there going to be a walkway to go straight into that building? Is that what we're?
Yes. Yeah. How exactly it works out, I don't know.
Okay.
But that's the plan.
Somewhere in this general vicinity.
Somewhere
there'll
in
be-
here,
yeah.
you'll be able to walk straight in.
Might even be a terrace area in the back, or, you know, some sort of patio.
Sure. If you wanted to have like an outdoor area for the employees to have lunch or something, sure.
Pickleball.
Not enough pickleball.
I read your article.
All right, so is there any other discussion? Well, I do have a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by John Doherty, seconded by Paul Millerani. To put it to a vote, all in favor of directing our designer to move forward with Scheme F, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, I was going back to make sure I knew which one it was.
All right, so that's unanimous.
Yeah.
Motion by John, second by Paul.
Paul Millerani, yes.
Now, should it be, I'm sorry, should it be specific to F, or is that the spot you want it to be? In other words,
That's the site location.
that's the site location.
That's the area you get to work with.
So we may change the plan, and but for clarity, I'll probably just say F1, F2 until we get
until we get it nailed down.
Okay.
We're gonna run out of letters.
All right.
So George, just one moment. So to Dan's point, we're not going to show the two different areas when we have the public forum. We're just going to show one.
Okay.
No, no, not okay. I'm asking you. That was
Well, I
your
thought-
opinion.
That was the
My
direction.
opinion was when we met 2 meetings ago, because I missed the last meeting for family reasons, but we were focusing on the 2 areas, and I thought at the time there didn't seem to be a consensus from this committee, and I thought maybe that would be a great time to have some public input on whether front or back. It seems as though there's no dissension on front or back. So now it becomes a political question whether you guys want to, let people have input on front or back, or whether you want to just move forward with the back. It's no longer an open-ended question.
When are you thinking about the forum? When are you thinking of planning this forum for the town hall?
I'd like to see an elevation, because I
Right.
think it's critical that the public sees
Absolutely.
the detail.
Yeah.
Are they not going to get the pain and suffering you've all gone through for this year?
Yeah.
And I think that when they see the detail, they'll make up for their minds whether it fits or doesn't fit, and you'll get an earful. If it
Yeah.
doesn't work, you'll get an earful.
Right.
If they love it, they're gonna tell you. So, originally, 2 meetings ago, I thought it was a perfect time to do, B or F. But you're at that point now where you're at F, so now the question is, what does it look like?
Right.
When we do the forum, I think you should have the question of, does the bazaar stay or go? Because you're gonna have the historians wanting to keep her, and you're gonna want others that might not. So,
That's typical, we deal with that in this town all the time. But
every
to
town
your,
deals with it with a surplus.
to your
plan.
point, I think by giving this director making the decision, now we can break it out into detail. So we have our massing, now we have the detail, we can show something. Other than that, people are gonna look at it and go,
Well, I mean, we've been probably 5 meetings looking at volume. And I know that, having worked with Phil for too many years, that, he has proportions in his mind of what the windows and the brick are going to look like. They haven't left his mind and got to your minds. Because I know that this building's going to be beautiful. I know it's going to be beautiful. Proportionally, it's going to be beautiful. And when he's done with the trim and the details, kind of like, a month ago with the senior center, we had the white block. And everyone's going, where's the entrance? And the entrance isn't defined. We're going to go through similar steps with this building that we did with the senior center. And look at how the senior center came out. It's beautiful. I mean, it looks great. And I think you'll see the same here.
So that's what, when we have the forum, we will be at that point to show.
You guys tell me when you want the forum.
The forum should have been a long time ago, as far as I'm
I
concerned.
understand.
I believe P3 blew it for this town in not having a forum when it came to site selection. You can have a forum now if you want, but you've already picked a building, a location, a site, so have a forum. But P3 blew it as far as I'm concerned.
From what perspective, though, I guess, I don't understand from the beginning. You mean throw out
From the
sites?
get-go, Diane. I mean, if you go to the facilities master plan, they never selected St. Dorothy's parcel, did they? You were on the facilities master plan. That was not the number one choice. But P3 should have had public forums right from the get-go so that the community could give input to. Now, both committees have gone through a whole host of meetings and have selected sites and plans and buildings without any input from the public. Say what you will, you can say these meetings are open to the general public, they can come down and speak if they want to speak. But now you're talking about a public forum. It should have been done a while ago. And that's my opinion.
Well, I have to say, I mean, I think it's, a lot of the public has been coming, the people that want to come. It's not like any of these meetings have been done private.
I understand that, George, and that's why I said what I said, because I figured that would be your argument.
Excuse me. I'm just saying that people have been invited to come down, and some get a little bit more attendance than others. And again, the committee has done their due diligence, I think, going through it all. And I sat on the facility master plan, and it wasn't an end-all, be-all. It was kind of a blueprint to follow on
Really?
some of the things as we went to. So
Really, it's not an end all be all.
Yeah. The other thing is that I think throwing it out too early to the public, you know, they wouldn't go through the steps that we went through, especially with the existing town hall site here for the senior center. I mean, we went through meetings after meetings.
But we'll
of-
never know that, will we, Diane? We'll never know if
But I
your
mean, aren't
comment
we
was
the
accurate or
board?
not.
But aren't
Because we
we-
didn't give the public an opportunity to do that, to give them a voice.
But we are gonna give them an opportunity.
After everything's been done.
Well,
So what's
to-
the-
to-
so
to-
what's the point?
So what's the point? The point is to see if they like it at the site.
Okay.
We voted at an annual town meeting
And
to
if they
build a
don't like
town.
it at the site and they would rather it at St. Dorothy's, are you willing to switch it?
No.
No. Oh, well, then why have a public forum? I mean, it should have been done a long time ago, and Mr. Pilata realizes that he blew it.
I don't think that's an accurate statement. I do think that you always have an opportunity to have a public forum, and I quite frankly think we went through a pretty good process, exhaustive
You
process.
didn't do any process with the public, Dan.
No, I'm not
Absolutely
talking
not.
about the public.
Look,
Oh, well,
Yeah.
this is not constructive, okay? These are public meetings, these are open to the
I
public.
understand
Anybody
that,
who wants to
yes.
come down and talk about what we're doing here in this room, we've done the due diligence. This is our charge, this is our committee,
Okay.
okay? We've done all this stuff. Whatever's happening right now, this moment, is not constructive.
Well,
You
that's
can have
your
a-
opinion.
You can have a public forum
Right.
if you want, but I think that we've crossed the Ts and dotted the Is. We've done everything that,
So you're saying we need one or we don't need one?
I could go either way on a public forum at this point. Maybe
So
if-
you don't
if-
want to engage the public because it's already been done, and that's what I said. Diane wants some sort of a public forum for whatever reason, I have no idea.
I think you need,
Um,
I think you need a public forum, only for the simple reason. When you bring this up to the town meeting, you're gonna have a very long discussion. Let the discussion hit the public forum first, and do it that way. You know, it's just like the finance committee meeting. We don't get a lot of people there. You know, the discussion comes up at somewhat at the public hearing, and then town meeting. You know, at the public hearing this year, we had no one from the public. You know, so let's do a public forum, so get the things over and done
With all
with.
due respect, whether you call it a public forum or a public meeting, I mean, they're all public.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any guarantee necessarily you're gonna get any more people at a public forum than you are if you can call it a public forum, and if that makes people feel more comfortable that there's an extra level of due diligence, but these are public meetings. If people don't want to show up at the meetings for whatever reason, they've got other circumstances, you know, the information has been out there, it's been televised, it's been recorded. I don't, you know, there's this suggestion that we're operating behind closed doors, I don't think is fair.
Who's suggesting that?
You, that because we're not having
I
a
said
public
that?
forum, we're engaged in.
No, I said nothing. I said we should have had a public forum from the beginning. I'm insulted by that. I've never said that this is behind closed doors.
Well,
I made the comment that this is a public meeting for
So
people to
what
come.
is the difference between a public forum and a
I
public
don't know. What
meeting?
is the difference between?
I'm asking you.
I don't know. Why don't you ask Diane? She's the one who wants to have a public forum.
Excuse us, guys, before we get too far off. So we will be having meetings here. We're going to allow public to come in and tour the facility before our meetings, so we can go through it. So that was going to do for our next other meetings.
Right. But George, in reference to a public forum, today, going out to the site, I'm looking at those houses on School Street, and I'm thinking of those people. And I'm thinking if I were one of those people living in that house, I have no idea what this building is going to look like until town meeting. You know, there was even on social media that someone said, why weren't the abutters even notified that a town hall was going to be put at the Swain School site. And I read that on social media and I said, where has this person been? I mean, how much more do we have to put out there that we're planning to put a town hall there? So if people want to come, they come, but we're going to get criticized. However, once Phil does the elevations and these people can visually see what the building is going to look like, I agree with John just said, they're going to ask a lot of questions at that point in time. And I think we may get some valuable input before the finalized plans are and we start to do takeoffs on costs.
Yeah, I believe I was, and George can attest to it, was the one who brought up the concern with the residents and the neighbors and the height of the building going from 3 stories to 2 stories, Diane. So I was concerned with that. So don't imply that this committee was not, or I was not.
I wasn't implying that. All I'm saying is that today, while I was standing there, I said, my vision of looking at this building, I was trying to put myself in the place of those people living in those houses to get a perspective of what this building is going to look like in this particular scheme F. Okay?
And we've had designs, right? Don't we have designs that you're putting in different areas? Like there are designs out front here. Isn't P3
Correct,
making
yeah.
designs to be moved around to different areas, to Diane's point, that people will be able to see those?
We have display boards that are.
Yeah, and some flyers or literature that P3 is supposed to be doing. I don't know when they do them, to get them out to the public. So.
Yeah, we have some.
Yeah, but certainly we should have you want to have a forum, have a forum. We've had forums, Mr. Hull, on Butters Road Bridge and other types of things. That's a forum where we've invited the public, correct?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a public
it's open
meeting.
meeting, right? There you go.
I have a question in the audience.
Speaking as a member of the public, okay, I'm here with my usual crowd. I don't recall ever seeing getting the public involved early on when we picked the middle school, when we picked the police and fire station, when we picked the high school. There's been more study and more due diligence of this than any other project we've ever had. The middle school, where that site was selected, somebody said, it's going here. They looked at other sites. What are we gonna have? We're gonna have a ballot vote on where we're gonna do these buildings? No. This committee was appointed to do an evaluation. They did that evaluation. This project and the senior center have been studied more than any other public building project in town ever. Ever.
Thank you.
I think what this committee is trying to do, and I think all the members of the committee are trying to do, is to do their due diligence so this project can be voted at town meeting. And a public forum at this time is appropriate. Let people come in. Otherwise, at town meeting, you know, most people won't ask a question. Let them ask it at a public forum. Then when you go to town meeting, your odds of getting this passed, and I think that's the goal of everybody here, are better. That's it from the public for tonight.
Thank you. All right, are we all set? Our next steps, Dan.
I'm just gonna start developing the elevations and come back with options for elevations.
Okay.
So, I mean, you've got material choices, you've got window styles, you've got roof materials, just like we did with the senior center.
Okay. You'll have that ready for our next meeting?
It's a lot like the plans, it'll come in waves. We'll have some ideas at the next time, and we may have more than one. We'll see what you like about each of them, and then we'll go off and put the parts that you like the best together and kind of work our way towards a scheme that works for everybody. We'll talk about materials and scale, how we put a roof on this thing, and how we kind of break down that overall scale. We'll have some different ideas, and we want to walk through those with you, and the design will progress on the plans as the model changes. In other words, we may decide something, we really need to do something here on the model that's going to have an impact on the plan, and then if that's the case, then we'll modify the plan accordingly, and we'll talk about that as well. So a couple meetings, and I think we'll have a pretty good idea of what this thing's going to look like.
Right. I failed to reach out to Superintendent Brand. I didn't know if you had any comments or anything that you wanted to. But
Doing good, thanks.
yeah, you're okay.
So George, are we or are we not going to have a public forum?
Oh, we will have a public forum.
We will.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe it should be part of our meeting here too, just like we're going to do at the senior center, that we have this town hall open. They can come through and see what's here at the building. That'll be our first, and get it started.
Okay. I think that's a good idea. And so in the progression then, I guess, of meeting the goal of the November special town meeting, how do we stand with that?
Tight.
Tight.
Taking a little bit longer to kind of zoom in on where this thing is going to go.
Yeah. Because we got to get costs and,
Between site selection and building location selection. We need to be done probably around August 7th or 15th with elevations so that we can go to costing.
so you can go to costing.
That way we'll have costs back mid-September.
Because the town manager, I believe he said mid-October you were going to get from the state, the
Well,
approval.
the plan is to obtain our certified free cash before going to special town meeting. That typically happens late October, early November. So, if we have a town meeting prior to that, we don't have access to the free cash.
Correct. So you still feel comfortable then that November, sometime maybe mid-November, then?
Yeah, and I obviously want to avoid the latter part of the month because then we're into
The holidays, right. And then you said that the finance committee has to hold a public hearing
Right.
on it too, right?
Right.
So that would be a couple of weeks difference then between the two.
So our next meeting, you'll have some elevations, we'll have some additional information, and we should be talking about our forums and public outreach, so we could get people and have something to show them. They'll
Yes.
see what we've been working
And
on.
and so we're going to have to move right along.
Okay. I know it's gonna be tough too, because these are the summer months coming, people are gonna wanna take vacations. Okay.
Mine's in September.
Yes, it's in September. Good.
We're okay.
You can't go if you're not done.
Yeah. Well, I may do a Zoom meeting from another land.
Okay.
All right, Dan, the discussion on public outreach.
I have another newsletter, it's just in final editing with you.
I saw that, you didn't bring that today, did you?
I did not,
Okay.
it's not final edited, so
Mhm. Right.
pursuant to the protocol, I mean, it can go out tomorrow after edits.
Mhm.
And you said you're gonna make up some new boards too, so we can start getting them around?
I
Well,
can.
Yeah, we can do that too, if you want us to start posting those and rotating.
Okay.
You may want to wait until we get a little closer on what it looks like.
Okay.
Because I think from just a flat surface, people can't visualize. I mean, I think,
It just looks like a big mass.
Right.
yeah, it doesn't give them any sense of feel of,
It's the same as with the senior center, when you guys first looked at it,
Yeah.
you're like,
right, exactly. So how soon do you think you could have boards like that made up?
I haven't seen where the senior center is right now, so it's
No,
hard to get-
on the town hall I'm talking about.
But I don't know how far along that's developed. I mean, in other words, it's got detail on it, windows and so forth, right?
Well,
It's-
not really.
It's pretty well developed. All that's left is color, and the color's coming on Wednesday.
And the facade.
Color and facade.
Some of our boards, they out in there for you when you go out. You
Okay.
can't miss
So
them.
the detail's done, the material and colors are left to do.
I'd say
2 meetings.
well, I'd say 2 meetings to know what the thing's gonna look like, and then the meeting after that is probably when the detail's gonna come.
Okay, so maybe by the middle of July?
Okay? Is that right? Yeah.
That sounds reasonable?
6 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
So our next meeting's the 15th.
That assumes you like everything that I show you.
Come with multiple options,
I
they'll
will
like
come,
one of them.
I will come with options.
Yeah.
15th, the 29th, and then the 13th.
The 29th?
15th, 29th, 13th. Yeah, that's what I have.
Okay.
I won't be here for the 27th. Gotta check it. 15th, 29th.
And then, so July 13th would be, after the 29th, you're looking at July 13th. Would that be
That's
the
probably
one that we would,
That's probably the meeting, yeah.
Maybe we can do our public forum for that.
could we do you think we'd be able to have a public forum by then?
Sure. I mean, you'll get the slides a couple of days in advance, like you would normally, right? So if you see something that makes you worry, we'll have a limited amount of time to get it fixed or to clarify it, but I could certainly get it done.
So if we're meeting on the 15th and the 29th, then you're going to come in with some options of this Site F, correct?
Yep, you're gonna have a pretty good idea about what things are gonna look like by the time we get to the middle of July.
Okay.
There shouldn't be any surprises.
Is it advantageous to have this public forum in July, or does it make more sense to push it out and get past the vacation time of people? And just throwing it out there.
That's a good point.
You know, if we did this the beginning of September, that gives people September, October to
That's a good
talk about
point.
it and
That's
generate
valid.
discussion,
Closer
and
to-
everybody's back.
Kids are
from
back to
vacation.
school.
I just think second week of July is a tough week.
Yeah.
All right, let's see where we're at. At least we'll have some time.
What
We might be
time,
making a
George?
lot of changes anyway.
What's that?
6 or 7?
6 o'clock.
Back to 6, right?
Yeah, I had a request of one of
Sure.
them tonight.
So you had a problem with one of the Wednesdays, George?
I'll let you know as it comes up.
Oh, okay.
I think the challenge with moving,
Yeah.
notwithstanding the fact that anybody can attend any of these meetings, and to this point, attendance has been pretty limited. I guess the question becomes, if the forum is intended to, attract a large gathering of folks, which any of these meetings presumably could do that, the further down the line the design gets, if there's an overwhelming pushback on the design, it becomes presumably more problematic from a time standpoint to revise things, right? I mean, the timeline is kind of narrowing our options as we get closer to a fall town meeting.
Well, in September, we will have already sent it out for a cost estimate. But what the cost estimate is doing is establishing the budget, basically, for what this building is gonna cost. And so, if things don't change dramatically, then the budget will have enough flexibility in it to allow for the further stages of design and development anyway. I mean, that's built in. So unless somebody wanted to pick the building up and put it someplace else, then the cost estimate should cover it. In other words, if you decided that instead of this kind of brick, you wanted to go to that kind of brick, or if you didn't like those type of windows and you wanted to go to something else, there should be enough money in the budget to be able to support that.
I would think by the 13th, we should have enough options to look at your facades and decide what the base material is going to be. Similar to what we did with the senior center. I mean, we're all coming to the conclusion of what the siding is gonna be, or what the material is gonna be, might not, the pattern or the colors, we don't know, whether it has a brick water table or a stone water table or no water table. Those type of decisions still have to be made, but we're rapidly closed in on what the facade's gonna be. I think you're gonna see that happen over the next 2 meetings.
So presumably then by the meeting of the 29th, we, at the conclusion of that, we should have a pretty good sense of what this building is
direction
gonna
it's-
look like.
The direction it's heading in, yeah. Yep.
Okay. I think that's a valid point, Jeff.
All right, any other discussion? Public comment? George? Good.
Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn, John Doherty, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Diane Allen, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.